8:30, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning and thank you for joining us today. My name is Annika Van Dyke and I am the Farm Fresh Specialist here at the Texas Department of Agriculture. Today you are participating in the informational webinar for the upcoming 2021 Farm Fresh Jump with Jill digital tour. I just want to make you aware that the recording and slides for today's presentation will be posted on the Jump with Jill digital tour webpage by early next week. So we'll send an email out to that for the folks who weren't able to join us this morning, or if you want to go back and review the information. I also encourage you to check out that page for the link to the application and also for some additional information. And I will go ahead and send a link to that out in the chat box right now. If you are joining us this morning, please go ahead and say who you are and where you're coming from in the chat box, just so we can see who's here and so we can say hello. I'm excited to be joined this morning by Jill Jane of Jump with Jill, who is here to walk you through what the digital content of the tour will consist of and what you can expect. And we will leave time for questions at the end. There is a Q&A box. It's different from the chat box. So if you look at your bar, it looks like a chat bubble or a dialogue bubble. If you have questions, please drop them in the Q&A box so we can be sure that we see those and get all of your questions answered. And again, we'll send the links to the slides and to the recording. So if you want to go back and review what those questions were, or if you couldn't remember exactly what the answer was, that you can go back and review them. With that, I will go ahead and get started. Again, thank you for joining us, and we're excited to share with you what this year's tour is going to entail. So as you've heard me say a couple of times, digital tour, just to cover what we're going to share with you today, we have adapted this tour for a digital audience. So if you are familiar with Jump with Jill and the tours in years past, of course, that has been a live assembly in your schools, in schools across Texas. This year, of course, we are dealing with a much different situation and much different circumstances. So we've been working hard behind the scenes with Jill to adapt this to a digital tour. That means something coming to a screen and not a school assembly in person. We'll cover the eligibility requirements for application, how to apply, and then Jill will walk you through what to expect from the digital tour, so you know what you're getting yourselves into when you apply. So as I mentioned, coming to a screen near you, Jump with Jill will be joining schools across the state. This is a shift to a digital format, being very aware of the circumstances in front of us. One benefit of this is that it's a flexible venue. As I mentioned in years past, it required a school assembly, a space in the school to gather many children to watch a live assembly. Now we have the opportunity to share nutrition education at school, at home, or both, because that content is coming to students on a screen. It's made for Texas, so we've worked with Jill to adapt all of the content for a Texas audience, so kids across the state will be able to, hear information about Texas fruits and vegetables, things that ring near and dear to home to them. So a quick note about eligibility. For this, in order to participate, we are still doing it at the school campus level. And in order to be eligible to receive the digital tour, the school campus must be participating in the National School Lunch Program. It's open to schools statewide. So in the past, we had to tailor this to specific regions because it required travel, and as you know, Texas is a very large state, so we couldn't cover the whole state in previous assemblies each year. But this year, because it is digital, it's open to schools statewide. So whichever region you are in, you are eligible to apply to this. Any segment of grades K through 5 must be the school population that you are serving. So it doesn't need to be full K through 5. It can be K through 2, grades 3 through 5, grades K through 3, any segment of that K through 5 population. If you're serving that, that is our target audience. So keep that in mind when you're considering your school campuses and the classes that would be eligible to participate in this. And then because it is a digital tour, students must have access to a computer and internet. So whether they are in school learning and they have, it could be a screen, one screen that's shared in a classroom, or each child has a screen. If they are at home, they have a screen and internet connection available to them. That is just a basic requirement to be able to receive this content. And this is the part that's a little more just detailed. So if I can have you pay attention closely to how this process will work for the application. We've already received a number of applications. This application opened 2 weeks ago, and it will close a week from today on January 29th. The application has gone out to child nutrition directors across the state, and the child nutrition director is the one who will be completing and submitting the application. So that is the key role at the district level. The CND will complete the application. On that application, they'll list the school campuses for consideration to receive the digital tour, and that they'll include all of the relevant contact information and student population information that is, and I'll show you what the application looks like in just a moment. And then I want to provide a little more information then about the 2 levels below that. So we have the role at the school level of the principal, and then at the class level of the teacher. So we want to make sure that we are not putting anything out there that's too much for anybody to take on at this time. We're mindful that responsibilities have shifted greatly over the past several months, and teachers may or may not, schools and teachers may or may not be in the place to add another thing to their plate at the moment. So we are asking for an opt-in to this. We have the CND who will essentially nominate their school campuses, but we want active acknowledgement and a demonstration of commitment to implementing the tour in the school and at the class level, to say that the principal is engaged, to say that the teacher is willing and able to fully participate in this at the class level as well. So the role of the principal is to opt in for campus participation and act as a primary contact for the school campus. So once the CND has submitted the application, we will do direct communication from then on. So there's nothing on the application where there's an opt-in at that point for the principal or the teacher, but we will be speaking with you behind the scenes to make sure that that commitment is there. And again, that's because we don't want to add too much if it may not be feasible for a teacher or for a school to opt in at this point. There may be constraints in schedules. We know everybody's circumstances are different, so we'll be communicating behind the scenes just to make sure that everybody is able to come on board for that. And then the role of the teacher, again, is to opt in for their class to participate. And what's really special at the teacher level is that they are also opting in for teacher coaching. So they will plan the viewing of the digital show for their class. And then beyond that, they are able to unlock digital content from Jump with Jill. And that content has been designed to help empower them to continue these nutrition education lessons into the future. So it doesn't just stop at their viewing of the show. They will receive materials to help bring it to life into the future and continue these nutrition education opportunities. So very quickly, I just want to show you what here I have on the screen, squaremeals.org /Farm Fresh Tour. So when you click on that, that is our main web page for the tour, and this is what you will see. and you see there in the big Apply Now button, there's some general information about the tour and a video to see Jill in action and the type of content that is that will be presented through the digital tour. When you click on Apply Now, this brings you to the application form, and we just ask that you read everything in full before you start entering information. We do have fields here for the contracting entity contact information. So that should be ideally the contact information for the child nutrition director. And then we have the elementary campus recommendations for receiving the digital tour. We have up to 4 campus recommendations that you can enter. And then below that, there's just some general information about those campuses that we ask you to include, which grade numbers are being served, the number of students at that campus, and the number of teachers at that campus. And then a few additional questions about internet access and computer access. And then if you could share with us as well why it's important to you, why you would like the digital tour to be brought to your schools and why it's important to your students. That really helps us understand what the need is on your end and helps us serve you more fully. So from here, will hand over to Jill, and she will walk you through what you can expect from that digital content.
All right, it looks like I cannot share until I think you'll need to, yeah, there you go, cool. Okay. Well, hi everyone, I'm Jill Jane. I am a registered dietitian and I have my master's in nutrition education, and I'm probably better known though, instead of my health credentials, as the musician that makes these very cool songs about eating healthy and exercising. They call me the rockstar nutritionist, and I'm known for creating the world's only rock and roll nutrition program, Jump with Jill. We've been partnered with the Texas Department of Agriculture now for 6 years, bringing this wonderful show all across your very vast state. And of course, that presented a lot of challenges because you have a very big state. So every year we focused on a different region to bring the live tour to you and had these large scale audiences screaming and dancing and sweating together. Remember that? Well, we can't do that anymore. So we presented a new way, Jump with Jill Reimagined, to bring you that same kind of experience, only a COVID-friendly way. And there are lots of benefits to doing this, and I'll get into some of those later. But working closely with Annika and Emily around what the need was, because you have such a vast state, this does allow more schools and more places to be a part of the program in times that you wouldn't have been able to participate. So we've been working tirelessly, turning what we were doing before into something else. And it's the same program per se, you're just going to get to watch it and experience it in a completely different way. And I'm really excited to share it with you. So we're bringing you the same kinds of songs and we're bringing you the same characters, but this time we're going to film it like it's a concert film. And we flipped our entire basement. We work out of a big warehouse in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we've turned it into a movie set. So instead of just having Jill's world be on the stage, we have her workout room, her kitchen, wardrobe, and of course her green room filled with fruits and vegetables that are of course grown and produced in Texas. We want you to be able to watch that show at your leisure within a time frame, because if you give it forever, then you will just never make time to do it. But we don't want to make it at 9 o'clock on this day, because we know many schools are doing hybrid learning, and we want you to be able to watch it when it's convenient for your students, and knowing you may need to do 2 different screenings of the video. I did a lot of testing and interviewing with many of our longtime clients, and they really felt that doing a live Zoom would produce lots of technical problems and would also mean only a fraction of students and teachers would be able to participate. So we really keyed in on making a customized version of our live show so that you could experience it within a time frame and also not have anyone miss it. It does open it up for more people to get to see the show. You'll be using this on a learning management software system. So once you watch the show with your students, then you're then brought into our curated library of content, all of our danceable music videos and our cooking videos and all the wonderful content we've made over the years that maybe when you left the live show, you didn't make time for because you got busy. But in this way, it's going to feed you the content the same way that YouTube would make suggestions to you of related videos about cats that you maybe didn't get to check out yet. This is going to curate the content that's related to Texas grown and Texas produced things. And then lastly, as you consume that content, that wonderfully produced content, it's going to give you these rewards and fill your cart. And so whether you're a student or teacher, whoever's sort of in the portal, it'll give you that sense of progress and get you through all the content that we want you to see to get those messages, you know, kind of ringing home, whether you're at home or school. We're working on this currently, and we're going to be launching this in late spring. So many teachers have been asking me, we don't have time for this right now. Well, you don't need to make time for it right now. Right now is the time you get excited. This is really cool to be thinking about this program in a new way. And we will be debuting this mid-April or so. So right now we are painting walls and working on all the back end stuff, and it is looking just so beautiful, and I'm so proud to share it with you. So what do we cover in Jump with Jill? So if you're familiar with a live tour and you've seen us before, we're going to be presenting the same songs and tunes. So I usually sing when I'm live. And so since we're digital, I'll try if there's a little bit of lag. We sing about respecting your body through healthy choices. So we sing, healthy is good for me, my body. Take a good look at me, my body. And then we sing about the foods that are gonna fuel your body for the entire day, and we sing energy, energy, yeah. And then we get going with breakfast. Now, I will step out here for a second and tell you that one of our focal points for our Texas Project work is always about school meals and promoting school meals, because guess what? You're a food service director. So not only can we help you meet some of your nutrition education suggestions this year, not mandates, we also want to be able to drive participation in your very important programs that are using all these Texas grown and produced fruits and vegetables and milk and things. So get going with breakfast. Get me going, get me going, get me going, get me breakfast. Then, of course, we sing about nature's candy, nature's candy. I got a sweet tooth for my favorite fruit, nature's candy. And then, of course, superpower vegetables. Superpower vegetables, great for my skin, my hair, my muscles, my eyes, my bones. And then the beat of the body, which we bring it into exercise. It's a beat of the body, ooh, ooh, beat of the body, ooh, ooh. And then, of course, drink water. And lastly, we close the show with a bone wrap and talking about calcium-rich drinks and foods for strong bones. Now, if you're wondering if this is going to get kids up and moving, obviously, if you've seen the live show, it is literally a live nutrition concert. And our intention here is to use the same tools we did with our danceable music videos to say, get those hands in the air and let's sing together. And we're still going to walk everyone through and ask people to stand and get moving. I have heard from lots of teachers and parents alike that we are sitting more now because we are in one place, like a rabbit in a cage. We want to make sure even when we have a small space that we're still able to move all around. And these songs, I promise you, I have painstakingly made them into songs you want to dance to, and that's intentional. So we're wrapping the movement and the music into this kinesthetic learning experience. Now, I am the writer of all these songs, but as you might know from our website, there are multiple Jills and multiple BJs who all literally look and sound and talk like me, and it's super weird, but you'll be seeing both me on camera for some of the projects, and then you'll also see another one of our Jills, and they're all fabulous. So this is Catherine Baird, who's going to be playing your Jill in the live show recording. And our intention is, instead of taking place in your gymnasium, is to really make your screen rock and kick off this new fresh interpretation of our program. We are not just putting a camera in front of the live show and performing it as if you're there. We're actually making this into what we're calling Jump with Jill, the movie. And we have scenes and we have wonderful direction from this crew we're working with here that's going to help us make this this come to life in a whole new way that it's just so exciting to be a part of and to have you be a part of. Then we'll feed you the content library. So as you move through the levels, you'll have captivating materials to unlock, discussion questions based on what you've seen. And all of these things are baked into the Common Core standards. And if you're using TEKS, that's also fine. The idea is to connect nutrition into math and literacy and science. So your classroom teachers have a reason to put that into the classroom, and it's not just matching up with some of your programs as food service directors, but actually to help your educators meet some of their goals as well. So that's making everybody happy all across the board, and it helps with our engagement and participation along the way. So remember, I used to have you come to the gymnasium and you had to attend. You could not skip out unless you really had to go to the bathroom. So in this case, we're asking you to opt in because we want the teachers that feel that they have time to handle this. I hear from some teachers they need more tools, and I hear from other teachers, please do not make me do one more thing, I'm going to explode. So whoever you are, we can't obviously force you to participate. This is an elective program this round, and we hope that you'll join us. We've got a really cool way of singing for you this time. And this is just a loose mock-up of how this will kind of work. If you've been in any kind of exercise app where they kind of show you your progress and they show you might also like, the main feature, just like the live tour, is watching the show and the full recording of the show. And if you don't go any further than that, that is also fine. But we do encourage you to be singing those songs in your classroom, and we have posters and lyric videos. And I mean, you can just get lost in the Jump with Jill ecosystem, and we encourage you to do so. You're not required to. And so I want to close on why digital. So we know there's a pandemic. We know this this disease is spread by basically breathing on people. So if you are together singing, that's like the biggest no-no. So really being allowed to reimagine what we're doing means we can bring you closer to the camera. There are now no bad seats in the house. There's no tall kids sitting in front of you. You get to be basically one-on-one with Jill. The camera is now our audience, and you get to see behind the scenes in her world. And you get to work at your own pace with your learning style. You can stop it and restart it, or you can watch certain content and not others. It helps you meet all of your guidelines in the way that's most comfortable for you. And we know that eating healthy now is so important. It has always been, but even more now for physical and mental health, and also for immunity too. That we know all these local foods are important for kids, but I mean, I don't think a day goes by that you don't hear in the news how important the role of school meals is for kids, especially during the pandemic. So you're doing great work, and we are here to support that work and make that work look so cool. We are the rock star face of this nutrition education, and we design it that way on purpose to make you look good. So don't be mistaken by all the cute costumes and cute jokes and great songs. We really are there to make you and your programs look good, and to drive participation in those programs and drive eating fruits and vegetables that are hopefully from your state. That's the whole reason that the Department of Ag is involved. So this definitely helps heighten engagement with our follow-up lessons, and it's something that was definitely a shortcoming with our live show, is that you maybe didn't go back onto the computer, and now that it is based on the computer, that we hope you'll stay in that world and enjoy all the content that we have created. So I also wanted to say that if you have seen our live show, you are allowed to submit again. Annika and I talked about this, that as long as you're still participating in all those programs, you will be considered to have the digital experience. You don't just have to be a new school. So please submit for consideration and write those enthusiastic letters of why Jump with Jill should come to a screen near you. So thanks so much. And if you have questions, feel free to post them in the chat. We are looking forward to hearing who your champions are to bring the program into your school.
I'm going to go ahead and share. Again, thank you, Jill, so much. I'm going to share just a moment. Okay, as Jill mentioned, we want you to be engaged. We want this to support you and be helpful in any way that it can to help you support your goals with your students, and really be there to bring some excitement, bring a focus on healthy fruits and vegetables, Texas grown fruits and vegetables. And I'm seeing some questions. So that's the bulk of our presentation. Move on. I want to clarify a little bit. I've seen a number of questions asking about the role of the contact at the school level, and some questions about if it can be somebody who's different from the principal. It can. The primary contact can be different from the principal. So I've seen, the PE class or the fine arts director. That's completely fine if that's a primary contact. One thing just that we would ask is that you have that discussion with the principal so that they are on board for it. They're accepting of it. They know that this will be happening and taking up or being part of the instruction at the school, so that they're on board, but that primary contact can be somebody else. So I hope that clarifies that question. I'll just repeat again. The primary contact can be somebody other than the principal, but please have the principal involved in that decision making as well. I also want to clarify, I did say that it would be the eligibility is for folks who are or schools who are implementing the National School Lunch Program. We know that there are a variety of flexibilities right now. So if you would traditionally be implementing the National School Lunch Program, you are eligible. So if for some reason, if because of COVID you are implementing SSO or SFSP under the current flexibilities, that is completely fine. If you would traditionally be implementing National School Lunch Program, you are eligible to apply for this. I want to share contact information here. I'll leave this up on the screen for a little bit. farmfresh@texasagriculture.gov is our email address. My phone number is 512-475-0082. We know that questions may come up. Again, I mentioned that the deadline to apply is a week from today. That's why we wanted to host this today, to answer any questions, leaving enough time before the application deadline to help you sort through any information you may need. So please, if you do have questions that come up today and before the deadline next week, call me, email me. We'll make sure that your questions are answered so that you don't have any unanswered or lack of clarity before that you submit your application. I also saw a question about, I shared with you the application form that leaves space for 4 campuses. That is kind of what that's the number that we're looking for. We know that there's every school district across the state has a varying number of campuses. You may have a large number of campuses that you would like to be participating in this. If you can't fit those campus numbers into that, if you would like to include more, please feel free to email me, fill in a few, and then email farmfresh@texasagriculture.gov. You can note that you submitted the application, but that you have some more campuses that you would like to include. We would like to be able to share this as widely as possible. And given the teacher coaching component of it and the administrative work that goes into that, at this time, we can't spread it out for having every teacher participate. So we do want to keep a number, and we're trying to balance that appropriately. So we, depending on how many applications we get and how many school campuses are under consideration, we'll try to balance that so we can spread this as widely as possible, make it equitable for those folks who want to be a part of this experience. So please do, if there's not enough space for you to enter all the campuses that you want, again, submit that application with the 4 campuses there, and then go ahead and email me, farmfresh@texasagriculture.gov. Note, this is, you know, the school district. I submitted this application and I would like to include these campuses as well. I also saw a question about STAR testing and whether there won't be basically a schedule overlap. As Jill mentioned, this is going to be flexible. We won't have one login time. So the content will become available, but you are able to schedule it with your classes as it makes sense for your calendar. So you won't be required to log in at 9 a.m. on April 14th. It is you know, within a general period of time that you are able to access that content starting in April. We're aiming for April. So yes, I think that answers that question. Log in on various times, and it doesn't need to be at the school level either. Not all teachers and classes need to be watching it at the same time. So if there are multiple teachers in one school that are participating, that can be, the schedule can be varied and can be staggered as well. So being mindful that everybody's schedules are different, very flexible as to when you can log in and access that content. So I hope that I'm seeing no open questions. And I'm seeing a lot of excitement in the chat box, which is what we are excited to see. I do see one more question. Can a campus that is K through 12 apply? That is a great question. A campus that is K through 12 can apply, yes. But we would ask that that content then is shared with the classes then that fall between that K through 5 range. I hope that makes sense. So yes, a K through 12 campus can apply, but the teachers then who would opt in for that would be in the K through 5 segment. And let's see here. Just to cover again, I mentioned that previously that NSLP campuses are eligible to apply. I want to clarify that if you would traditionally be serving NSLP at this time during the school year, we know that across the state, districts are implementing a variety of flexibilities at this moment. So whether that's SSO or SFSP, in normal times, you would be implementing NSLP. So yes, if you are implementing NSLP, SSO, SFSP, if those are eligible to apply if you would traditionally be implementing NSLP at this time. Let's see, I see a question. So if there are teachers who don't want to participate at a particular school, they don't have to. Correct. So as I mentioned, there's this opt-in model. We know that for a variety of reasons, teachers just may not be able to take on the additional work, or it doesn't fit into their scheduling at this time. Absolutely no judgment. We know everybody's circumstances are different. So yes, we do ask, we want the teachers who are involved to be actively engaged in it and actively, accessing that digital content. We want them to be excited. We know if they're excited, their students are going to be excited about it. So if you have teachers who say this isn't for me at this point, that is completely fine. We want the teachers who are saying, this is what we want for my class. We need this. We want them on board, and they'll be the ones who, enter their emails and are receiving that digital content. Let's see. When will you post this video? I think you're talking about I'm not sure if you're talking about the recording of this webinar or if we're talking about the Jump with Jill digital content. Cindy McClenny, if you could clarify if you're talking about the webinar. Yeah, okay, the webinar recording. Yes, we'll get this turned around as quickly as we can, and hopefully it should be posted no later than Monday. I will send out another email along with the application link that will send a link to the recording of this webinar as well and the slides so that you're able to access that information.
I'm really glad that you're excited, that you can't wait to share this, because I'm excited and I hope that's coming through the screen.
And I'm seeing, will this happen every April? We are in a very different circumstance than normal. So we're not going to say that this is going to be happening every year. We can't say where we will be a year from now. If you are looking forward to this opportunity, I encourage you to apply now. And, you know, as we said, we're trying to be as flexible as possible to make it work with your schedule, with your district, with your school schedule, with your teacher schedules. So if it's something that's of interest to you, I would recommend really highly applying this year to have this experience in for your students. If selected, if selected, can the digital show content be presented in May as well? Again, that's something that we can consider with you. We, of course, I know districts have some varying schedules now based on what's happened over the course of this year. We would like for everything to be wrapped up by the end of the school year. Of course, that's when you have your, you know, your captive audience of your students. So we would just say as long as it falls, as long as you have a comfortable cushion to complete all of the material by the end of the school year, I think we can be flexible to accommodate your schedule. We said late spring, the ideal is April, but we can also have a side conversation as to a schedule that will work best for your district and your school. I think I am not seeing any more questions in the chat box or in the Q&A. I'm seeing a lot of excitement, and I hope that we've, okay, we have a question here. So how long does it take to complete the material? Jill, can you speak a little about how what it looks like from a schedule or a timeline perspective when the schools are receiving the digital show, and then what the teacher coaching kind of looks beyond that? Can you talk a little to that timeline, please?
Sure. Our intention is, you know, this award period, the application, excuse me, the application is open until next Friday. We'll award the schools early February, and then you'll start to hear from us at the beginning of April around engaging your principal or your champion, whoever that is, your music director, whoever that is, excuse me. And then we're hoping around the middle of April, end of April, to actually launch the show to you. And you will have a 2-week window to watch the show. And the reason we want to do it that way is we want it to still feel like the tour, right? Like that we go school to school, that you have this time frame that you need to watch the content. And then after that, we're hoping for a 2 to 4 week period where you get to watch all these other videos. We found that adding around 15 minutes of nutrition education per week was realistic, which meant around 3 minutes a day, which is actually the perfect length of a pop song. So if you're watching kind of one thing a day, that generally is about what's going to take you 2 to 3, most did it in 2 to 3 weeks. And then it'll close before the end of your school year. We wanted to kind of stay away from that Memorial Day, like get it all in right before Memorial Day, as that's your last week of school, and that tends to be a crazy time. And we don't really know what's going to be happening with scheduling and the pandemic. They're talking about maybe extending the school year, maybe not. We don't want to mess with it. We want to have it in as it's currently scheduled, just so that we can execute a program that is properly designed. So that is the intention, to have the show kind of come obviously first, be open for a period, and then you can kind of swim within that ecosystem of content in the classroom as follow-up.
Great. So I'm seeing, I believe all of those questions have been answered. Unless there are more questions, if there's something you're holding back and you want to share, go ahead and get it out. But as far as I can see, we have answered all of your questions. I will, all schools, okay, so one more question. All the schools submitted in the applications, will they be approved? That is something, again, as I mentioned, where we want to make sure that we can spread this as widely as possible. So, you know, this new experience for us is kind of an unknown as well. We want to see how many districts apply and want to be able to, because we have the opportunity to spread this more widely across the state, we want to be sure that we are equitable in the way that we distribute that opportunity. So I won't say for certain that that every school will be approved, but that is a conversation we will have with you. As I mentioned, you know, the first step is submitting that application, and there will be a lot of communication beyond that point. So that's a decision we will, you know, keep you aware of. But I won't say for certain right now that all schools will be approved, but please do, you know, send in those that you would like to participate for consideration, and we will do our best to accommodate as broadly as possible. I see another question. If we are a charter school district and some schools have middle and high school students, can we still apply for the elementary grades? Yes, absolutely. So as I mentioned, not all teachers have to be involved. So we would say if your student population is beyond the K-5 range, if you just then limit the participation to those teachers who are teaching within the K-5 range, that's completely fine. So yes, if you are teaching K-8, K-12, those campuses are still able to apply, but the content will be directed and the teachers involved will be in the K-5 range. Let's see. Answered those.
And I'll just add one more logistical thing is that you're seeing me today and you'll be seeing another Jill on camera, but there is actually one other Jill and her name is Haley. She is, her screen is off right now. She will be the person you'll be hearing a lot of with logistics in terms of scheduling and how it's rolling out and what you need to do next. She is literally our director of operations. Anyone who works in a desk job here at Jump with Jill was formerly a performer. So they are very, very familiar with the ins and outs of the show's content, what learning objectives it meets, how you can best experience our program. So you'll be starting to hear less and less from me because I'm basically going to move downstairs and start creating the thing. Well, not start, I've been working on it for a while now, but I'm going to move on into creative direction of this project you're going to consume, and Haley will be like on her email. So if you don't hear back from me, you should always email Haley at jumpwithjill.com. She's much more on top of things. And we're all moms, so just to let everybody know, we are doing our best.
So now that I've seen the questions kind of peter out, I'm just directing you back to our screen here that has that web address, squaremeals.org/farmfreshtour. That is where you'll access that, you know, the button to the application. And I will, if you received an email inviting you to this webinar, you will also receive an email. I will aim to send that early next week, either on Monday or Tuesday, once our recording has been posted. And there'll be the link to watch the recording and a link to the slides, so you can go back and listen to questions that were asked and make sure that you have all the information that you need. So that web address, again, squaremeals.org/farmfreshtour. I'll drop that into the chat again as well just before we end here. And then directing you one more time to our email address, farmfresh@texasagriculture.gov. And then my office number is 512-475-0082. If you have any questions before the application deadline next week, of course, you can ask them after the application deadline, but if you have any questions about the application specifically, or questions you need answers to in order to feel comfortable applying, don't hesitate. Email me, give me a call, and we will talk through any questions or lack of clarity that you may have. Other than that, I'm not seeing any more questions or comments. We just want to thank you very much for joining us today, taking your time early this morning. Thank you so much for your enthusiasm, and we really, really look forward to this unique opportunity to share all of this wonderful content with you, to encourage and motivate your students and give them something to look forward to. And we're just very thankful for all of the work that you've been doing in these very difficult circumstances, and the service that you have been providing to your communities and to your students. It is just beyond what we could have imagined, and we thank you so much for all of your dedication. Jill, I'll hand it back to you if you want to say, if you want to close out and say goodbye, and then we'll be on the back end answering any questions that you have from here on out by email or by phone.
Sure, I'll just take us out on a song. I'm thrilled to have you guys on board. These are your bones, you gotta work them out. You gotta eat the foods that keep them growing strong. Say what? What? Say what? What? You gotta eat the foods that keep them growing strong. Thank you for giving me this digital stage. I am so excited to rock with you guys.
Thanks so much, everybody, and hope you have a wonderful Friday and weekend as well. Take care.